Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Hope that you are fine. Today we are going to continue our story sessions and then go back for Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. Today we are going to go through chapter 10, and let me remind you with what happened at the end of chapter 9. But before reminding you, please go and bring your storybook. I'm going to wait for just 1 minute in order to wait for you to get your books. Now, please, I want all of you to open your book, page 47, and let me remind you with what happened at the end of chapter number 9, as Nancy tried to tell Mr. Rose Maylie and Mr. Brownlow everything about Wagon, about monks, about every single member in the gang, and she didn't know that she was followed by someone, and at the end, no one till this moment know what happened to her. Now, let's move to chapter number 10 in order to continue our story. Move with me, please, to slide number 2 in order to go through the main points. The Dodger told Wagon about Nancy's meeting with Rose and Mr. Brownlow on the London Bridge. Belle was very mad at Nancy that he hit her with a piece of wood till death. Belle tried to drown the dog, but the dog ran away. Actually, this chapter called the murder, and the murder means to kill someone cruelly. Okay, so let's move to see what happened. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Wagon was sitting alone in his house, and his evil face was twisted with fear and hatred. Please, all of you, underline the word hatred, as hatred here means to hate someone. So his feeling was moving between being very, very frightened and being, being very angry because you are hating someone. There was a loud knock at the front door, so Wagon told to himself, now eventually here Sykes came to the house. When Sykes entered the house, Wagon was silent. For the first time, Wagon was silent. So when Sykes entered the house, he was having a bundle. A bundle here is something, 2 heavy objects tied together with a piece of cloth or something like this. And when Sykes entered the room, he just threw it on the table and told the Wagon to, please, Wagon, go and sell this for me. As you can know, this is very valuable nowadays, and you can get a lot of money from selling this. And when you get the money, give it back to me. Wagon is still silent. Sykes went on. Okay, what's happened? Tell me quickly. I've got to go back to Nancy. She will think I've been caught by the police. Wagon, for the first time, from the first time in this chapter to start speaking, but you will be caught by the police very soon. Sykes said, what? Are you got very old, you evil man? No, I didn't, but let me tell you something. And Wagon told Sykes what happened with Nancy, and he told Wagon that Dodger was the one who was following Nancy, and he listened to every single word that she has said. Sykes became very angry, and he couldn't believe his ears that Nancy could do something like this to him. And without single word, he tried to go very fast towards the door, but Wagon just touched his arm in order to calm him down, and he said, no, Sykes, no, you should be a little bit quiet. No one should find out what you will do. Please behave carefully and without letting the people, or without grabbing the attention and letting the people know what are you going to do. Sykes, without saying a single word, he went on to his house to where he can find Nancy. Then he entered the house. Nancy was lying on the bed, and she was sleeping, so he didn't say any single word, but he shouted at her to get up, and he said, you get up. Nancy just woke up, and then she smiled at him and said, Belle, are you at home? Finally, Belle just stared at her eyes, and then he glared, but suddenly he pulled her hair and pulled her on the floor. Nancy was screaming and was crying, Belle, are you mad? What happened? Tell me what I have done. You are causing me a lot of harm. This is really, really hurt. This is really causing me great pain. But Sykes was very angry, and he said to her, you know what you did, you're devil. Devil here is a Satan or something very, very evil and very bad. Sykes said, "You were followed last night, Nancy. Someone was listening to every single word that you said to the gentleman and the young lady." Nancy gave a terrible cry and she said, Oh, Sykes, no, I didn't say a single word about you. I was saying about monks and I was saying about vegan. I told them and everything about them. But no, I didn't say anything about you. Please, let me go. Leave me alone, and please, you can escape before the police come. Please, let me without hurting me. Bill Sykes couldn't even hear what she was saying, and he didn't reply, but he took his gun out, but actually he didn't shoot her. What happened? He used the bottom, the part, the gun is like this, right? Okay, so he used this part in order to hit Nancy with all of his strength on her face. So he just caused a very deep wound here in her face, and the blood started to pour from her head on the floor, and then she just fell on the ground. She tried to stand up, but actually she couldn't balance again, so she fell again. Sykes was mad with anger. He couldn't understand, he couldn't believe his ears, so he picked up a thick stick and hit the girl again one more time, again with his full strength, until she died. Hours passed. Sunlight shone into the room. Shown here is the past participle, the past form of the verb shine. The girl's body lay on the floor covered with blood, and her eyes were open. Her eyes were open like this, staring at Sykes, and he couldn't actually bear to outstand what he was seeing in front of him. He tried to wash his clothes and his face and his hands from the blood. He picked up the thick stick that he used to kill Nancy, and he put it into fire until she burned totally. And then he tried to move the girl away, but actually he couldn't. He couldn't get near the body because her eyes were widely open at him. And then Sykes stood in the streets. He kept walking and walking and walking. Then the night came. It's very cold. He stopped at the woods. He tried to remember everything happened to him. He tried to plan to what he's going to do next. He said to himself, okay, I can go to London. I can go to Wagon at first and get the money from him from selling the bundle, and then I can go to London and no one will find me there in London. But actually, when he was moving, do you remember the white dog that was following him? Yes, the bull's eye. He just looked at the dog and thought, the dog, of course they will find me if they found the dog. Okay, I should remove the dog from my life. I should drown him. And to drown someone means to kill someone under the water, because they will not be able to breathe underwater. So Bill Sykes decided to drown the dog in the river. Exactly like movies. Imagine this scene with me, please. Sykes got his scarf. Scarf is a long piece of cloth like this, and you can wear it around your neck, exactly like the one I'm holding now. He just hold his scarf, and at one of the two ends, he tied a large stone, and then he started to whistle to the dog. The dog came 2 steps forward to him, but suddenly the dog stopped and looked at him, and then moved his body a little bit back and growled at Sykes. Sykes told him again, "Bullseye, come." For the first time in his life, Sykes was calling the dog quietly, and this made the dog doubt what he wants to do. The dog didn't move, and he moved 2 steps backwards, and he didn't obey his orders. Sykes started to shout to the dog to come, but the dog growled and ran back few steps. He ran very, very, very fast, and here the dog looked at him for the last time, and suddenly he turned in the way. Sykes began to walk back to London without his dog and without anyone else. Actually, this was the end of chapter number 10. Please move with me to slide number 3 in order to check the oral questions that will help you to link the events of chapter 10 together. Why did Bill try to kill his dog? Why was Bill mad at Nancy? What had the Dodger seen when he followed Nancy? In your opinion, why didn't Bill shoot Nancy with his gun? Of course, because Wagon told him not to let the people know what he will do. So the sound or the voice of shooting someone will be too loud and will make the people doubt what's happening inside the house. Do you think that Nancy was a smart girl? And why? Of course she wasn't. She was good, but she wasn't smart, of course, because she didn't take care of the people who may follow her, and she was dealing with criminals. So of course it's not logical to deal with them this carelessly. Let's move to slide number 4 in order to check the questions. Sykes glared at Nancy for a few moments, then he took hold of her hair. He pulled her away from the window. Belle, please tell me what I have done, Nancy cried, out in pain. You were followed last night. Someone was listening to every single word you said. Then Sykes continued, Nancy continued, I didn't say anything about you, Belle. The girl shrugged. Sykes took his gun out of his pocket. He didn't fire it, but with all of his strength, Sykes hit the girl twice across her face. He was mad with anger, so he just picked up a thick stick and hit her again and again until death. The poor girl was dead now. Sykes walked on through the empty streets, but where was he going? Where could he hide? I'll go back to London, Sykes said to himself. The police want to find me there. Wagon will hide me. I'll get the money from him and leave the country. Now please move with me to slide number 5 in order to check the questions. Question number 1, what did Wagon say to Bill? What information did the Dodger give to Bill Sykes? Wagon told him that soon he will be caught because Nancy wanted them hanged. Then Dodger told him about Nancy's meeting on London Bridge. Who killed Nancy? Bill Sykes. How did Bill Sykes kill Nancy? Sykes glared at Nancy for a few moments. Then he pulled her hair, and then he pulled her body on the floor. Then he used his gun in order to hit her face until the blood was pouring out of her head on the floor. Then he used the thick stick in order to hit her once more and more and more until death. What was Bell's plan after killing Nancy? He would go back to London to Wagon to get the money, and then Wagon will help him to leave the country and to hide from the police. To this point, we have reached the end of chapter 10. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you today. I hope that you enjoyed the session as I did. Thank you so much.